you a hacker? I need to know. What's going on, everyone? It's Tuesday. It's the second day back streaming. It still feels weird. Still feels weird. I'm not gonna lie. How are we all doing? I hope we're all doing good today. Yeah, what's up? So yeah, the green screen, it's gonna be way too hot to put on the lights for the green screen. I don't know how long it's gonna be like this for. I don't even know how hot it actually is in Manchester today. So let's take a look. So it's not that hot. It's like 25. Wait, 31? It says it was 31 today? Oh, it says it was 31 degrees today. What the fuck? Oh, okay. All right. So it's like, yeah. It's gone down to 25 now, but it's still pretty hot. It's still pretty warm. Apparently it's not going to be... It's going to get highs of 26 tomorrow. So we had a high of 31 today. And then just use the cold lights. Isn't that like very uncharacteristically hot over there? Yeah. Yeah. Climate change is happening. We're all fucked. Yeah. That's right. So, yeah. That's that basically. What was I gonna say? Can't remember. But yeah, that's okay, so that's why I look like this. That's why you're getting this today. It's this is it, this is what you're getting. This is what I like. This is how powerful my lights actually are. So like if you're thinking about like, you know, why is it so dark? It's normally this dark, actually. This is a vibe though. It doesn't look too bad, right? It doesn't look that bad. You know? And it keeps me cool. That's the main thing. You should tell a scary story like this. One night there was a goblin in a cave. Oh, it was scary. Hello, everyone. Everybody's here. Everyone's here. We're gonna say hi to everyone. We got Nada161. We got Osmo Agree. We got Adorable69. We got Ludo Na. We also got Odnon Shafiq. We got Pat Potato. We got Mapirate. How you doing, Mapirate? We got Survided. Hello. We got Middle Earth Marxist. We got Half a Laptop. Goblin Hugger. Can I get a shout out for Goblin Hugger, please, Shafiq? Is that all right? What else do we got? Anyone else? Aslan's here as well. Can I also get a shout out for Aslan? How you doing? What's going on? Mr. Dank is here as well. Oh my gosh, so many people here. All early. All the time. Oh shit, and a shout out for Odnon as well. I keep forgetting a shout out for Odnon. I feel like I didn't get Odnon a shout out yesterday, but you should go follow Odnon because he's a great streamer as well. Please, 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 please. So yeah, we're gonna do some reacting today. It's been a while since I've done react streams, so bear with me. You know, it might not be as good as I remember it being. Maybe it was never good. I don't know. Who needs a cis white guy, you know, to give his opinions over the top of videos all the time. Apparently everybody here, so you know, that's fair enough. But yeah, we're gonna get into this. I've been wanting to watch this video for a while because it mentions the whale. And I watched the whale, right? I watched the whale when I was sick. And it was a bit of a bad idea because I watched 1984. You know, I don't know if everybody knows, there was a 1984 version of adaptation of the book 1984, and I watched that, and as the same of the book, it's super depressing, right? It's extremely fucking depressing, right? I'm just gonna move this a little bit and see if I can. Oh my god, it's not too bright in my eyes. It's okay. So I was already like quite depressed. I'd already watched like quite a depressing film. It's quite a depressing, you know, basically vision of an authoritarian future. So of course I was just kind of there like, I can't wait for this to be reality, right? Because it's the UK, right? And then I was like, I know I'll watch The Whale, right? What a smart thing to do. I'll watch The Whale. I hate Darren Aronofsky. I hate him so much. I actually don't like any of Darren Aronofsky's films. I used to like. I think he did The Wrestler, and I've not seen The Wrestler, so I should probably check out The Wrestler. But I have seen Requiem for a Dream. I thought that was the most crazy thing I'd ever seen when I watched it when I was like 15. But then when you realize that the movie is basically just going, drugs are bad, don't do drugs because you'll cut your arm off and your mum will go mental. It's just kind of like really annoying. He just like shoves his messages down your throat, and it's not even really like a good analogy most of the time. So I'm not a fan of Darren Aronofsky's work. And I put on The Whale and I was like, this is just like shit. It's just complete shit. Like there's nothing good about it. It just feels like he wanted to be like, I'm gonna get an actor to get fat, right? And then make them even more fat with a fat suit. Because he definitely didn't get that fat. There's no way that he got that fat. And you can kind of tell it's a fat suit as well. And it's like your average wanting to reconnect with with like an estranged child story. But like the only thing that makes it different is that like Brendan Fraser's this overweight guy, and he's, well, I don't like using the word overweight, but he's this fat guy, and he's like addicted to eating. It's like a self-harm thing, and it's weird misery porn. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's weird misery porn, and it's not even a good story. You can't, like, the characters are not even like that good. Like the main character, Brendan Fraser, is like the best character. Like he's definitely like, he's not like dehumanized, I would say, but it's just like everyone's a piece of shit to him. And I guess that's what it is. Yeah. What if like bigger people, what if like fat people had feelings, but it's like really shit. Like we shouldn't have to have like a film like that to have like acceptance of fat people. It's so weird. It's so fucked. It is like that. Have you seen it, Odnon? It's so shit. Like would love to hear fat people's opinions on it. You know what I mean? No, don't bother with it. It's so depressing. It's so depressing. I won't spoil it for you, but it's just not, it's not even good. I haven't yet for these reasons. Yeah, I wouldn't bother. It's shit. Like, it's just a shit for, like, the story is so asinine. It's like your stereotypical, oh, I'm a dad that wasn't in my daughter's life for reasons, and those reasons are complex, and blah 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 blah, but I'm trying to make things better, but his daughter hates him for complex reasons and hates everything. She's a teenager, blah blah blah, blah. And it's just like, yeah, I agree, Shafiq. Weird misery porn is a good sum up of Aronofsky's filmography. Like Mother, for example. Mother is, and basically, if you don't know what Mother is, it's basically an analogy of Genesis, right? So he basically wanted to do the Genesis story from the Bible, right? So the creation of the earth, and then the first peoples in earth and stuff like that, because it starts off and there's like one person in the film, and it's Juliana, what's her name? Julia Lawrence? I can't remember what her name is, that actress. She was in the Hunger Games. But it was her, and she's just supposed to be the earth. Do you know what I mean? And then after that, there's a guy, and that's God, and then he starts like putting lights on in the house, and it's like, he said, let there be light, and then, but that's it, Jennifer Lawrence, that's it, yeah. I was thinking of Juliette Lewis for some reason. And then also like, these other things happen. I was watching it, I was talking to Kira about it after Red Planet one night, and I was saying to her that I was like watching it, and I was thinking like, this is supposed to be something. And then there's like a bit in the film where there are like these like 3 Orthodox Jews or something, and they're like praying, and they're like around a fire, and all of a sudden it just like clicked to me. I was like, oh, this is religious. This is a religious analogy. And then I was like, oh no, oh, he's just done Genesis. He's just made a film of Genesis. It's just really fucking ridiculous. It's like a big fuck you to the audience. I just hate him. I hate Aronofsky so much. And it's like, yeah, like she has a baby, and then people take a baby away and kill a baby. Sorry for spoiling Mother. Don't bother watching it. It's shit. And that's obviously supposed to be Jesus. right? I enjoyed Pi, his first film. See, I've not seen Pi. I'd like to see... Those are two films I'd like to see from Aronofsky. I'd like to see Pi. I'd like to see The Wrestler. But at this point, I'm kind of like, well, I've seen Mother. I've seen The Whale. And I've seen Requiem for a Dream. Why would I bother watching these two other films that he's done? But people do say that Pi is good, so I should watch Pi. I think. So check that out. The thing about being fat is that everything about you is policed. If you're angry, you're scary and aggressive. If you eat, people have taken food out of my hands to get they're helping me. That's insane, dude. I can't imagine how fucking horrific that must feel. Even the most basic amenities aren't made with you in mind. Yeah, it's really fucked. It's really fucked. No, not Life of Pi. No, Life of Pi is a different film by a different person. Which I have seen. And Life of Pi is pretty good. It's a pretty good adaptation. I read the book, Life of Pi. I think the book was better than the film, to be honest. I think the film was, like, okay. But Life of Pi, the book, it felt a bit deeper. It felt a bit better reading it. I don't know why. I just think it felt better. I just remember the experience of reading the book to be far better than when I watched the film. Yeah, if you got a chance to read the book, I'd say it's a good book. If you're fat and femme presenting, all your medical problems are lose weight. I don't even think that's just limited to feminine people, to femmes. I think that's for every fat person. You read the book, didn't bother with the film? Yeah, I wouldn't bother with the film A Life of Pi. It's okay. It's all right. It's not great. You know what I mean? It doesn't really like add to the book or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's very little. The thing about the book Life of Pi is that there's like very little in the way of things that you would have to like imagine. You know, the reason why they like do adaptations of films like Lord of the Rings is because there's a lot of like fantastical elements, yeah, that you could imagine, right? And people might imagine it, and people might imagine it differently to you. People might imagine it the same, etc., etc. But with the Life of Pi, there's not really that much that you could imagine is different. It's like there are things described that we all know what they look like, and you know what their place is in the world. Like there is a guy, there is a child, there is a boat, a small rowboat, and there is a tiger on it, and there is also like another animal. There's like there's like two animals. It's fucked up because like one of the animals starts to eat the other animal because it's like sick and dying, and then the tiger comes out of nowhere and just eats both of them, and then the little kid is just like, oh, what the fuck? Crazy shit. Crazy shit. Fat femme presented folks definitely have a more difficult time. There's overlap, but it gets more intense when you have misogyny into the mix. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I reckon that's definitely a thing too. Yeah, yeah. Also, the lucrative tax breaks and fucking over your country's labor laws. Wait, what's that? Oh yeah, Lord of the Rings. Yeah, Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Horrific that like there were so many like Maori extras, and they did like abuse the fact that the country has like lax labor laws, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. If I remember correctly, the animation studio that worked on Life of Pi had to redo a bunch of scenes in the movie because executive changed their mind and it bankrupted the studio. Yeah. Executives are so shit, honestly. The police that fed people's bodies does have specific differences. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not like 100% on this stuff, so yeah, obviously I'm not going to be correct about all of it. I'm willing to learn about that shit 100%. I don't know much about that. I don't know much about the differences about that. It just, I guess, like the way that it you know what I mean, like the way that I see it is that like if we're talking about fatphobia in general, it's like I imagine specifically like that one particular problem, like all your medical problems are lose weight. Like, I do feel like that's probably, like, that works for everyone of every gender, right? Maybe it is more. Maybe it is more of a thing for fat femme people. I don't know. I'm not sure. But anyway, this is why we're watching the video, because we're here to learn. You know what I mean? Sarah, the fat culture critic is a great person. There's great content. Is always down to yeah. I should definitely check out some of her stuff. Seeing your tea makes me want to go make tea. Yeah, you should. Tea's good. It's good for you. It is kind of like Bohemian Rhapsody, but you can see the rest of my body, not just my head. Would have to really try hard to make it just my head. I don't know. Yeah. Not managing that. Not managing that at all. Anyway, listen, we're going to go straight into it. Listen, folks. We are going to go into the politics section for this. So put on your hazmats. You know what it's like. We got content warnings for this, which should be very obvious from the title of the stream, which is Fatphobia and Anti-Blackness. So we're talking about that in particular today. It's from our boy, foreign man in a foreign land. So, you know, go give him a like, a comment, a subscribe if you haven't already. If you haven't already, what is wrong with you? Yeah, go and show him some love. Hello, Kerry. How are you doing? Welcome in. All right, let's check out this video. I don't know what a yam head is. I don't know what pro-yam headedness is. Pro-yam headedness. I'm sure Foreign's gonna explain to us, but let's see.
The ever-sensitive brigade of the permanently offended is now upset at the critically acclaimed movie, The Whale, starring the beloved Brendan Fraser. Multiple woke outlets and journalists just can't watch anything without being offended.
See, now, there's nothing woke about this, right? There's nothing woke about this. This is a correct analysis of the film. Right? This is correct. Also, hi, Queen Pip. How are you doing? We're doing Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now. Yeah, basically. This is just correct. It's all of Darrenofsky's worst themes in a fat suit. It's true. It's completely true, which is always offensive to fat people, right? Because I know that Brendan Fraser put on a lot of weight for this role, but they still put him in a fat suit anyway, right? To make him like more fat than he is. And so there's no way that he would be able to accurately understand the lived experience of someone that fat. Someone who is as fat as Brendan Fraser's character in the film is going to have like a markedly difference to someone who is the size of Brendan Fraser, the actor. Yeah. So it's completely true. So anyone who is saying that this is like, oh, it's so woke, that people are mad. Also, it's insane that they're defending, Brendan Fraser's character in the Aronofsky film, it's because he's literally like a gay guy. I don't think they understood that. The wokeness is not being anti-fat mule. Wait, what? What are you talking about? What are you on about?
It seems that in today's society, many people are quick to take offense at the smallest things.
I feel like I do. Precious?
No, that's not.
I don't know her.
That is Lizzo.
She is precious, though. Lizzo's precious.
That's like what I call her.
Lizzo is precious.
Precious to me.
Yes.
That's absolutely fucking like. It's just so like you can really tell how fatphobic people are. They're calling it woke because they want things to promote fatphobia and be against fat people. Yeah, I know. What did I say that made you think I wasn't agreeing with that? Sorry, I'm like really confused. Like what did I say that made you think that I wasn't saying that I didn't agree with that? Anyway, I think that like it's really fucked. Like the way that Lizzo gets spoken about all the time in like right-wing circles is just so fucking horrific all the time.
Lizzo is precious.
Don't nobody want you, don't nobody need you. School ain't gonna help none. Take your ass down to the welfare
not fair.
So like when I was saying, you said what's woke about that a bit ago. No. In terms of like what I'm saying is they're talking about that, and like I don't know if like Foreign Man has brought up this headline, or if this is like from a video that he's brought up or whatever. I know that that's the wokeness being complained about, right? I know that that's what that is. What I'm saying here is that there's nothing like quote unquote woke like about this. Like it's literally just like the correct opinion. Like no one is like, what they think woke is people who are being like overly sensitive, overly ridiculous, etc, etc, etc. You know what I mean? Offended for the sake of being offended. There is like not a remote hint of this. I reckon the person who made this fucking like, you know, headline or whatever, or this review or whatever, is probably just like a centrist lib. They could easily be a centrist lib. Easily. I don't think there's anything fucking... I don't think anyone who wrote that review there is like woke or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Anyway. Yeah, let's get back into this bit.
This video is brought to you by my streaming service, Nebula. And trigger warning, this story contains themes of body shaming, disordered eating, and anti-fatness.
Okay. So, yeah. Let's switch this up. Eating... Oh, fuck, I can't even spell. This is what it's like, chat. This is what it's like coming back to streaming. Eating disorders, fatphobia, well, that's already there. And body shaming, I guess. Does body shaming come under fatphobia? I guess it would, right? I guess it would, as well as like, I don't know. Like, I'm not like the expert on this. We're obviously discovering. Do you know what I mean? What do we think, chat? What's the question? I said, does body shaming, if I was going to make a content warning, like, I've already got the title on the stream there that says, like, it's right there, fatphobia and anti-blackness, right? That shit's in there, right? Fatphobia, disordered eating, body shaming. Yeah. But, like, I would argue that, like, body shaming would probably come under fatphobia, right? There's misogyny in this as well? Okay, cool. I'll add that for sure. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe he's talking about body shaming that's not related to fat people. Maybe he's talking about body shaming that is... You know what? We'll put it in there anyway. We'll put it in there. Just in case, because you never know. Alright. Yes? Oh, wait, what?
I never thought it would happen to me. You see, I was the happiest kid. Mommy and daddy only kid. Which you would probably scoff at and subsequently call me spoiled, but the thing is, I'd agree. I never wanted, nor desired. Everything felt in reach, especially food. More, seconds, extra, double, triple. Nothing was ever enough.
I'm an obesity physician, talk to patients and hear like, it's really hard for me not to eat these things. And some people are like, just put the fork down. It's like, yeah, just don't scratch that itch that's on your back that's just going all day.
My mommy always joked that if I had a sibling, I probably ate them in the womb. My daddy would always sneer and say that it's easier to clothe me than to feed me. But what they didn't know was that food was my friend when I had none. Ramen noodles would distract me from the shouting matches in my parents' room before they divorced. But food would soon turn from friend to foe, and would turn from a distraction to everything.
I was like put in a fat camp as a child when like between the ages of me being 8 going into 9, 9 going into 10, I lost a third of my body weight as a child. I was barely old enough to live and develop body weight.
You see, I never neglected nurture from neither of my parents. And this divorce was an opportunity for my new family. You see, I spent a lot more time with my Grammy and my Nana. they would be Switzerland. You know, they would be like a neutral place that I get dropped off to and picked up from. But they would also be the matrix for my fatness. You see, while I was lime wiring shoo-shoo albums and I watched Kubrick movies unchecked, I also had free range of the fridge. It wasn't long till Mommy and Daddy noticed that I was gaining a lot of weight. And even in less length was the exhorts for me to be more healthy, with grim reminders of my mortality. The reminders that diabetes and heart disease didn't just run in my family. It sprinted, marathoned, and expedited much of my family members to the finish line of life. But the greatest deterrent from my fatness was the acceptance of my peers, the pride of my parents. I felt their shame every time they dropped me off to school. I saw the simpers of my classmates when I began to burst at the seams of my clothes. I became obsessed with losing weight. I tried everything from counting calories to working out obsessively. I was drinking my ma's Slim Fast and joining her for early morning jogs at the age of 5. I even went vegetarian. Nothing worked. In fact, I got fatter.
I have lost 150 pounds before.
Oh, there's Sarah anyway.
And then it comes back because you go back to your set point. There's a small minority of people who will find a new set point at a smaller size. There's also people who will basically live their whole life with an eating disorder and maintain the size because like that becomes their entire life. And then there's some people who will go to a higher set point. I'm one of those people. If I hadn't dieted, I would be smaller and I would be in much better health.
The things that they try to do to get you to lose weight actively cause you to gain weight. The shame doesn't make you lose weight, it makes you gain it.
Then I discovered fighting, martial arts in fact, and that was a place that I could redeem myself as my...
See, now this would be interesting to hear him talk about this, because in martial arts, like when I was doing Muay Thai, there will be so much body shaming and fat phobia going on there, right? It was ridiculous. I remember like things like my coach, and you know, this is no bearing on him now as a person. This is just like one of the things that he said to me ages ago, saying things like, "Oh yeah, man, I had to like not have bread because it was making me fat." And it's like, whoa, hang on a minute, what are you talking about? Like, and for me, yeah. I don't know. I'm not like a good judge of like saying who is fat or whatever, because I constantly like have like body dysmorphia, and I think that I'm getting like you know, bigger and stuff like that in the mirror, and I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm getting fat and stuff like that, and people are just like, what are you talking about? You're not even remotely. So I don't think I'm the best judge, do you know what I mean, for shit like that. But I really didn't think he was, you know what I mean, and it was a bit crazy. But yeah, so like it's gonna be interesting to hear what he says about martial arts, because there's a lot of emphasis on like making weight, you know, for your like weight category and shit in martial arts. One of the cool things about this one martial art competition that used to be around called Pride, but I think it got bought by the UFC or something, I don't really know, is that it actually used to be like there were no weight classes, so you could get like a sumo wrestler fighting a really, really small, you know, tiny East Asian guy. I can't like he like I remember this literally this one fight where there's like this really tall, really fat sumo wrestler and this like really small he was like a jiu-jitsu fighter, a mixed martial artist. Yeah, it was such an interesting thing going on. It was like, what the fuck, because they were both really good at what they did, do you know what I mean? And it wasn't like the weight difference made a difference, like they were still like evenly matched, do you know what I mean? It was like, anyway, it was such a crazy thing. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to hear what he says. Hey Johnny, how you doing? Hello Huskadoo, what's going on? Welcome in.
My weight was a weapon now. My thick thighs and hammock arms were no longer liabilities. They were skill buffs that made me dangerous to my opponents. Judo, karate, boxing, and my favorite, of course, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Not only did I perform to the acclaim of my peers, but my body took shape. I was beginning to become muscular beneath this flesh, fat fit. Most importantly, I developed confidence, which was a fashion that fit my fatness in a flattering manner for once. I experienced what felt like affection for the first time, and I craved that feeling. The glint of an eye when someone passed me by, the upward inflection of a voice when people encountered me. I wanted more of it. And to me, that meant that I needed to lose more weight. Because I never saw the fat guy getting all the girls. It was always Drake Bell or Johnny Bravo.
Right.
Never Carl Weasel.
And I'm gonna start crying about it because it sucks. Because all you're doing is looking for love. You know, you're looking for connection to a human being. And to be a black man who loves men, trying to connect to men, and to be shut out of that because you're fat is fucking heartbreaking. Because I want that for my people, you know? Like, I want my people to be happy.
Oh, big old Bellamy.
Then, I discovered intermittent fasting.
Yeah, for real,
It
Adnan.
seemed like the perfect solution, because I could still eat what I wanted to, but just restrict my eating to a certain time window. I started skipping.
Like, you know, what Bellamy said about, like, you know, fat black men who love men, like, there's so much, you can't even, like, remotely begin to scratch the surface of it just, like, with an offhand statement or whatever, because it's like there's just so much fat phobia in the fucking gay community, right? Less so in lesbian communities. I don't know, actually, I might be fucking wrong about this, but like definitely in like the men loving men community, you know, from what I've even experienced, like in the UK and stuff, like I go through like Grindr, and you'll see like there are two things that you'll see, yeah, that like jump out to you that make you go, that doesn't seem like it's okay to just say that. Like, I don't think people should be openly saying stuff like this. And that is like, you know, people who have like no fat people, literally in their bio, no fat people, or like that you'll get a mixture between like black men only or no black men, or like white only. Like, just insane. And that's like not even like a long time ago. Like, I've literally only been out and on Grindr for like 3 years. You know, it's just so fucking shit, honestly. It's so fucking shit.
Breakfast and only eating between 1 and 6. And at first, I felt great. I was losing weight. And I finally felt like I was in control of my body. But as time went on, my relationship with food became more and more complicated. I'd obsess over my fasting schedule, and I'd feel guilty if I ate anything outside of my designated eating window. I'd skip social events if they conflicted with my fasting schedule, and I'd avoid eating with friends and family. It wasn't until I started working on the video you're watching right now that I began to realize the harm I may be causing myself.
As a bisexual, I found out that I was attracted to men by being attracted to bigger men. But at the same time, I look at myself and was like, I could go without this, personally.
You liked parts of other men that you didn't like about yourself?
Yes. I have let the American Eurocentric beauty standards affect my perception of myself for so long. For the longest time, I didn't realize that I was skinny until somebody who was 3 times bigger than me informed me verbally, physically, face to face, that I'm skinny.
I interviewed several fat folks.
Yeah, I totally like can relate to that, because yeah, I mentioned that like earlier. It's like, oh shit, like, you know, I'm constantly like thinking I look a certain way in the mirror, but I just don't. I have like severe body dysmorphia. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's just so ridiculously absurd that I would think that about myself, but it gets to you. Do you know what I mean? Because, and it's exactly what that guy said. I just missed that guy's name, but like, it's exactly what that person said. It's like you just have this image that is like pushed at you all the time, which is like, you gotta look like this, you gotta look like that, you gotta look like that, it's gotta have this and this. And it's like, it fucks with us so much. It fucks with us so fucking much, to the point where it's like, we feel like if we not even like date people, but like if we're like friends with people who are like not that particular beauty standard, that it makes us a bad person somehow. Do you know what I mean? It's so insidious, the imperial core white supremacist patriarchal beauty standard, you know?
About their experience.
Yeah, the fear of being seen as fat because of how society treats fat people. It's definitely that too, yeah. For real.
I felt personally called out in every interview. I realized that what I had been doing all these years was not just a diet.
No worries, Shafiq, no worries.
It may be an eating disorder.
Mad people in the army got eating disorders and don't even know that they got eating disorders. You restrict caloric intake to lose weight. Like if you restrict too much, then your metabolism slows down because your body goes, oh shit, I'm not getting food. I need to survive, so then it stores fat.
Essentially what it is that it's being a poor person who has no access to food, because you eat like a very small amount of food and then you go without food for a long time, between like 3 and 6 hours, and then there's like a little like refeeding period. And basically what it does is it...
When we first moved here, I kept finding reasons not to put up the mirrors or install the bathroom medicine cabinet. My partner asked me why. I closed my eyes when walking towards a slide glass door to the backyard. I realized I didn't want to look at myself. Damn, dude, that fucking sucks. I'm sorry, bro. That's so shit. Not to get too deep in the chat. Yeah, the chat is the place to get deep. Like, this is what we're talking about. Do you know what I mean? You know?
trains your stomach to get smaller and smaller and smaller because there's nothing in it. When my stomach got smaller because I didn't eat for a full day, I was sick.
We're so used to eating disorders looking a particular way.
And as well, like, I do want to talk about this intermittent fasting thing as well, because this intermittent fasting thing is like so ridiculous. Like, it's pushed by martial arts kind of communities. Like, it's a big, like, Joe Rogan thing, you know, like Joe Rogan talks about that shit, right? All the time, because they're just obsessed with, you know, bodybuilding and how that shit works and shit like that and blah, 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 blah. And I did intermittent fasting for a bit, actually, like a while ago. And I also did keto as well. And it's like, I didn't even need to fucking do it. Do you know what I mean? It was such an absurd thing to have to do. So it was like a really, I don't know, it was just a really, really daft, just a really fucking daft decision to make, right? But you realize, like, after a while, like, this is a fucking, you know, this is like an eating disorder. Like, why am I obsessed with doing this? Why am I obsessed with, like, you know, restricting what I eat and restricting, like, you know, what I feel and shit like that? And actually, my body started to look the way that I wanted it to look when I started eating more, right? When I was working out so much. It's like absolutely great. Like, what I eat normally, like on a day-to-day sort of like bodybuilding regime, is actually just like how much normal people are supposed to eat. It just has like the right amount of protein in it. Do you know what I mean? To like rebuild muscle. Like, that's the only difference, I think. And it's like, it just makes you so much more happy. It's like, yeah, this is like 3 meals a day, basically decent meals, like, you know, 3 fucking things in it, you know, meat and 2 veg kind of thing, and yeah, boom, Bob's your fucking uncle. And but it's like these like absurd weight loss fads, weight loss diet, like not everybody's body works the same. Like, I had like an absolutely bizarre situation growing up where, like, I think it's not like, I don't think it's my mum's fault, but I think I just like was really bad at eating enough food, and I don't know why. I just really was not like, I would only eat like certain things. I would only eat like beans on toast, or like I've spoken about this before, like chicken paste butties, right? Yeah, chicken paste sandwiches. That's right. Disgusting. Absolutely vile. Can't believe it exists. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, in terms of like all that stuff, I would only eat like so much. And it got to a point where like I had like a really fucking high metabolism, and I think that's because my body kind of knew, like, it's like what Bellamy was saying there, like my body knew that I wasn't getting like enough food. So when I did eat, I could eat like fucking shit tons of food, right? So much fucking stuff. Yeah, I was just like eating all this stuff, and I wouldn't like, it wouldn't affect me whatsoever. I would not like store fat. I wouldn't put fat on or anything like that, or gain weight. I was like extremely skinny, did like zero exercise. And then, yeah, when I obviously like grew up and sort of like, you know, started to eat like quote unquote proper food, like, well, healthier food, right? Not like healthy as in like, you know, it'll help you lose weight or whatever, but healthy as in like, you know, it's got the right vitamins in it. Like I definitely wasn't getting like the right vitamins. Even when I left home, I wasn't doing great. I would say that I've only been eating like what I would probably call healthy, in terms of, like I say, like eating the right, you know, vegetables, having the right amount of protein, carbohydrates, fat, stuff like that. Yeah, actual nutrition. Like I've only really been doing that over the last like maybe 3 or 4 years, maybe even maybe 5 years. But yeah, like I've always had like a really funny relationship with food in that regard. It's really interesting hearing everybody's stories about that and how I can like relate to it in a way. But I was like 100% like what people would call underweight for a lot of my life, until I was probably about 21 and I started doing martial arts. So it's like, it's weird. It's like I had like a very similar story to Foreign Man. Like I was like a certain body type, and then I started doing martial arts, and then it was like boom, now my body's starting to like, you know, understand what's going on, and I put on some weight finally in my entire life. And yeah, it feels good. It feels good to like put on weight, you know? It feels good to be like bigger. Like I do want to be bigger, do you know what I mean? I actually do want to be bigger. So yeah, it's that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm much happier. Like I'm much fucking happier about my body. Do you know what I mean? I still look at my body and I still think, oh damn, I look like, it's so funny. It's like there are elements of like my body dysmorphia where I look at my body and I'm like, I feel like I'm getting too fat, and it's like, no, I shouldn't think like that. Do you know what I mean? Because there's nothing wrong with being fat. And then there's also like, you know, elements of my body dysmorphia where I'm like, dude, you're so fucking skinny. Like I'm constantly looking at my shoulders and going, bro, you're like a nothing person. You're like made of nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's fucked what my brain does. And like my partner is like the best person for me, because she will literally just be like, you look amazing. Like you look so fucking good right now. And I'm like, yeah, I look all right, don't I? Do you know what I mean? You kind of just need someone who loves you, who's going to be there for you, just to be like, oh, it's literally fine. You look amazing. You know? That's kind of what you need. We need people who can support us and stuff. Hey Grim Kai, I do the intermittent fasting. It works out nice for me because cook up a nice spread, eating more feels like I'm forcing myself to eat out of habit. I'm usually not hungry mid-afternoon, and some popcorn before bed. It definitely doesn't work for my partner. They do 6 small meals in the day. When I tried that, I was just overeating because I wasn't actually hungry 6 times a day. Yeah, I think it's different for everybody, right? I think it's different. Yeah, definitely. I think I have a pretty good relationship with food. It was the puberty dysphoria that got me started on restricting, right course. Sometimes feeling in love with someone else helps remind you that you love yourself more. Yeah. I have the thing where I don't have a good perception of how my body is feeling, so I forget to eat a lot. And when I do eat, it's usually like little snacky things. Nutrition is harder when you're neurodivergent. That's a huge thing. I do get to the point where I'm like, you know what, like Foreign was saying about like, you know, eat like making changes to like social schedules because of like, what you eat and stuff. Like, I did get to a point where I was thinking like, oh, if I don't hit my protein goal for today, that's it. That's a really bad day. I shouldn't do that. And I was like really desperately not doing that, to the point where it did impact my like real life, my social life for sure. But I've fucking stopped doing that now, because there's no point. There's no point. You are not gonna, if you are like doing the bodybuilding thing and you want to get bigger, you want to put weight on, my best advice that I can give you is that, like, I've literally not eaten what I would normally eat for like 3 weeks because I've been like sick and stressed and stuff. It's fine. It's fine. Like, I've not, like, my body hasn't changed that much. Like, not even as much as I think it has, right? Keep catching myself in the mirror and going, yeah, I still look good. Why am I worried? Do you know what I mean? So, you know, if that is something that you're doing and you're worried that you're gonna like miss a day or whatever, shit like that, fuck that off. It's fucking ridiculous. You know, I do unintentional intermittent fasting, meaning I'm autistic and forget meals. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but like if that works for you, it works for you, right? You know. Hey Tar, how you doing? Welcome in. Anyway, let's check the rest of this out.
That I never suspected it to look like this. To be something as seemingly benign as fasting. But my struggle with fatness is a microcosm of something far greater, far more insidious, and that is the rhyming of fat and black. I say rhyme not only because, well, it's true, but because there's a unique and notable history surrounding the intersection of fatness and blackness as experiences.
Not only is anti-fatness part of like anti-blackness, but anti-fatness is anti-blackness, which is to say that if you are anti-black, you're also anti-fat, and if you are anti-fat, you are also anti-black.
Now, put down your pitchforks. I would be remiss to be reticent towards the universal and pernicious nature of anti-blackness that permeates every crevice of our existence. But while fatness is not the same as blackness, while fatness is not synonymous with blackness, it does rhyme for a reason. With that disclaimer out the way, I want to investigate the dissonance. That despite being black, and despite having black people like Jesse Owens being touted for their innate athletic abilities by white supremacist scholars transforming into what we now see as Rogan marveling blackness today.
He is one of the most impressive physical specimens I've ever been in front of.
Bro, I can't deal with Joe Rogan, man. He's just such a... Joe Rogan is like the best example of like what happens when a guy with a podcast gets famous for just like saying whatever the fuck he wants, and so many people like just agree with him because he just says like problematic stuff, and when people get mad at him, he's just like, fuck you, buddy, fuck you. And you know what I mean? He just never gets challenged. He never challenges his own opinions. And just like listen to what he's saying. He's like calling black people specimens. So insane, dude. Like so insanely racist. That's a good point too about neurodivergent influence. It's wild because my ADHD can't cope with proper meal times, but my autism loves a balanced diet because all beige foods are understimulating. Right. Joe Rogan is funny till you realize he's a real guy that people listen to. Yeah. Hey, Death and a Lovely Italian, yeah.
He doesn't look like a real person.
Fuck.
Jacked. Yoa Romero's jacked.
Shit, dude.
How that... Bro, he just looks like a normal guy. Like, you can really tell. Like, I'm not saying that I'm, like, the best, you know, anti-racist ally. You know, I have loads of black friends, but I'm not saying that. But, like... When you grow up from an early age around like a lot of people of like different races and backgrounds and cultures and stuff, like I just don't understand how you could just like see that guy and be like, oh, he doesn't look like a real person. What are you talking about, bro? What are you on about? It's so incredibly absurd. I can't even put myself in that, like, do you know what I mean? That reminds me, I forgot my insulin today. Yeah. Gotta take that insulin. Don't forget your meds, folks. Take your meds. Honestly, somewhere hanging from his wall of bro souvenirs, he has a pair of calipers hanging. None of us watch him, so we haven't noticed. Yeah. He has that on his table, doesn't he? He has like a bunch of stuff on his table. He has like, I know that from when we watched the Jordan Peterson interviews. I think that was at like the start of last year or maybe the start of this year. I can't remember. But there was the Jordan Peterson interviews. He did like we did like 3 whole streams of him chatting with Jordan Peterson, and it was crazy. He was like crying because he was thinking about surfing a wave or something like that. Music and someone doing a guitar solo. Anyway, I remember seeing the table. He's got like a bunch of knickknacks on the table, hasn't he? He's got like so many knickknacks and what have you. Yeah, he probably has got some calipers there.
Very observation can come out the razor-thin lips of white supremacists, and then be
razor-thin lips
by remarks of black people being fat. And
yeah, he's had phrenologists on. Yeah, he's had white supremacists on.
Ergo, the reason for our dependency on the state, as well as the supplication to the oppression of colonialism. I want to plumb the depths of the erroneous race science that allows for white revisionist historians to depict blackness as fat and indolent, despite blackness being the buttress that built the United States.
That's right.
On our backs. I want to inquest into how fat went black and never came back.
Just drink Coke, the road you won't be sunny. At Coke, we say we're woke. We sell dreams that as smoke. China is our labor supplier. The drives our stock price even higher. What the world knows today will be steady.
Yeah, what is this? What is happening? What the fuck? Coca-Cola? Is this real? I've never seen this. I've never seen this, dude. What the fuck? I love how they're like, right, I love how they're like, yeah, too much sugar can give you diabetes, right? But I don't think it's connected to like being a certain weight. I don't think diabetes is remotely related to being a certain weight, is it? It's like you can be skinny as shit and have diabetes. You could be born with diabetes, right? So they're like associating like a load of sugar with having diabetes, and that's unhealthy, right? But then they're also being like, oh yeah, it makes you fat and diabetes is the same, right? It's like, what are you on about, man? I know plenty of fat people who don't have diabetes, you know? Type 2 has some correlations, but type 1 usually makes you skinnier. Yeah, but the correlations are normally like, you know, just like you have a lot of sugar in your diet or something. Or your body can't break down the sugar because you like had a lot, right? Anyway. Yes, more sugar than fat, yeah. Like, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I definitely could like live in a world without Coca-Cola, and I think that a world without Coca-Cola would probably be good for more reasons than like what these guys are saying, which is like it makes people fat, right? And being fat is unhealthy, which is like absurd, yeah. But like, you know, the reasons that we could do without Coca-Cola are many flavored, right? You know, death squads in South America, you know, capitalism, again, it's just like it's not like a very healthy drink to have. It doesn't even taste that good, you know, in general. And that's that really, isn't it? You know, I'm already set to live without Coca-Cola. It's too fucking expensive. Yeah, I hear that. There's a type they blame on the person and a type they don't blame the person for as much, right? Yeah. I can't do timing because neurodivergence. Forget all the time because I had access to teachings about foraging, raised with a very healthy relationship to food. Every white family member, especially older women, went out of their way to push their eating disorders onto everyone around them. It's so fucking weird. Yeah, for real. Coca-Cola is pretty good, to be honest, as a treat sometimes. I fucking hate it. You know, there are much better Coca-Colas out there that aren't Coca-Cola. Like, what's that one? Karma Cola? It's more expensive. But Karma Cola is like extremely peng. They have like some problematic things in their like advertising, right? They try it, they're kind of greenwashy, do you know what I mean? I'm not like a massive fan of this kind of stuff. Like, read our 2022 impact report and shit like that. And it's like, they say like, 1% of all the revenue goes to our cola nut growers in Sierra Leone. It's like, well, they should be getting more than that. I think 1% is not enough. I think 50% or an equal share of all the profits, right? Anyway, just absurd. But yeah, they got like, Karma Cola. It's really nice. It tastes loads better. Loads better than fucking regular. Iron brew mixed with milk. What is wrong with you? What is happening? I prefer the 0-calorie version. Regular Coke is too sweet. Yeah, it's pricey, right? It's pricey, innit? It feels more like a treat. Do you know what I mean? To me, like if it's pricey, because I'm not gonna buy it every day. Hey, Luna, how's it going? Good to see you.
Fatness wasn't always demonized. It was once considered the apex of beauty, health.
That's right.
Indicated an access to upper echelons of society. Many of Brendan Fraser's fans have proclaimed that this is the Renaissance, as the beloved actor has finally made his return to both television and the big screen after his long-standing absence. While many watchers of Darren Aronofsky's The Whale took it as a character study, some activists felt that Fraser's portrayal in the psychological drama was an insulting indictment on fat people.
If you've never asked for a seatbelt extension on a plane, you don't get to decide if it's anti-fat.
Yeah. For real. For real.
You've never had to worry about this, that whether a chair holds you up. If you've never had a chair break from under you, you don't get to decide if it's anti-fat. This is one of the reasons why we hate fat suits, is because it's subtly giving you the suggestion that fat is something you can just take off. I don't have a zipper on my body. I can't take it off at the end of the day. Every voice who writes about anti-fatness, everyone who's in a super fat position who talks about it has been like, this is shit. This is degrading. Either I'm not watching this or I watched this and it triggered me.
Entertainment.
It's like, how can I describe The Whale? How can I describe it? From like a non-fat person's point of view, like looking at it, I you know what I mean? We're obviously going to learn what fat people think of it, and we learned a little bit just by what Sarah just said just then. But it's like, for me, it felt very like this is just a really sad story, and it really doesn't feel like, it felt like, okay, listen, right? Listen. Spoilers for The Whale. I have to do this because I can't explain how bad The Whale is without talking about spoilers, right? So the main plot of The Whale, and by the way, I turned the movie off halfway through because it was so depressing, right? It was so extremely depressing. And I'm not even fat, right? I just felt really sorry for anyone fat watching it because it was so absurd. Like, my granddad was that fat and he lived till he was like 65 or something. Do you know what I mean? He like lived a long life. And when he died, he didn't die because he was fat. He died because he got too pissed and fell over in the bath. That's literally how he died, right? So like, you know, it basically, I was watching it and I was thinking like, oh my fucking God, this guy he's the whole thing of the thing is that he's like put on a load of weight because his boyfriend died, right? And his boyfriend died because of some like cult basically fucked him over. And so he watched him go through this like horrible thing, and it like made him so depressed that he got like an eating disorder, and he was gonna like eat himself to death, right? Now, I'm not saying that there are people out there that don't do that. I'm not saying that that like never happens in it. Do you know what I mean? But like, it just felt so insincere, right? It just felt so insincere. It was literally like, what you think happens to fat people because society's fatphobic, I'm going to put that in a film. He eats so much that he dies, and he will not stop eating, and even though he's got loads of money in the bank, he won't pay for medical care to like, you know, get a stomach staple or something like that, or get like a dietitian or anything like that, blah, blah, blah. And his like carer is a piece of shit to him, and his daughter is a piece of shit to him. They're being constantly fatphobic to him and all this kind of stuff. And it's literally like, there's this like, so it got to a scene, there was like, I was like trying to get into it, yeah. Obviously I was ill, and I was like trying to enjoy it at least a little bit. I was thinking like, well, maybe there's some merit to this, some artistic merit to this somewhere in this film. But I kept watching it, and he's getting these like, you know, he's having this struggle. He's like opening the treat drawer, and he gets like a candy bar out, and he's going to eat it. And then he's like, maybe I won't do that. No, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it. And it's like, that's that's as far as the eating disorder thing gets. And it's like, there are these like really ridiculous scenes where he like eats a sandwich too much and nearly dies from choking. And it's like, bro, come the fuck on, man. Like, you know, if Aronofsky's trying to like say that is, you know, because he's fat, I don't know what, I've got no words. I've got literally no words, because like you could choke from anything. Anyone can choke. Choking is not like a fat only problem. Like, I was like, what is happening here? And then when they like, his carer like does like, can't do the Heimlich on him because he's too fat or something, and so like what she does is she makes him like lean over like this on the couch, and she like shoulder barges into his back, and then there's this like comedy like punch sound effect, and then like he gets up and like the table falls and shit like that, and it's like, what the fuck? I have no idea. Like, just made it like, oh, it's just so bad. It's so extremely bad. And I knew it. I knew what was coming. Because I've seen Darren Aronofsky's films. They're always like these like super absurd, in your face, asinine analogies for like something where it's just like, don't do drugs, it's really bad. And this time it was, don't get fat, it's really bad. That was literally all it was. Don't get fat, it's really bad, you'll die. And even though he has like there's like a redemption thing that happens in the film at the end, where like his daughter like realizes that she actually loves him and stuff, but he still dies. And it's like, bro, what the fuck, man? You could have just made this like a nice film where like he doesn't like, it's the consistent, like he literally like, you know, what did he do? He got him like next. I had to turn it off at this point where he was literally like at the fridge shoveling in all this like pizza, and it's just like so hard to watch. I'm literally like, bro, Brendan Fraser is not even that fat, and he's like doing all of this stuff, and it's just so upset. The ending sucked. Everything about it sucked. It was so shit. Extremely shit. Anyway, I missed some people coming into the chat. Hello, it's a mammal. How you doing? Welcome in. Three Bears Gaming, how you doing? Please go follow Three Bears Gaming. Welcome in. I haven't seen it yet, but it's Aronofsky, and I feel like he did the same thing for drug users with Requiem for a Dream. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Gets into a territory where it's almost blackface adjacent. You put the aesthetic of this marginalized group to ridicule them, or at least depict them in a questionable way. Yeah, well, again, it's like, you know, it's just someone having no lived experience of being that fat, acting that fat, and also writing a person that fat with probably no one that fat even remotely consulted. Do you know what I mean? Hey, Dice Goblin, how you doing? I thought you had cancer from the trailer. Yeah, it's just so ridiculous. It's not the way that it's portrayed and shit. Shit should be nuked from orbit from the face of film, yeah. It's so bad. And the thing is as well, I think the thing is that really made me hate it more in general is that he was like, what was it now? There was something, I really value directors and people who make movies who can have a movie that is based in like one room, in one set, right? That's a really difficult thing to do. It's really difficult to like have a movie that is self-contained within one room, which is why I like the Cube movies so much. Well, maybe not the Cube movies, just Cube itself is really good for that in particular, right? But The Whale is just set in this one room, and for something like that to work, you have to have these like really deep, interesting character progressions, but there is no interesting, deep character progression for Brendan Fraser's character, who's the main character. It's literally like he's too fat and then he dies. He keeps eating too much and then he dies. And this is over the course of like a week in the film. It's not even like over a long period of time. It's just ridiculous. So it's terrible. The same for anyone not entirely het and has an eating disorder in Black Swan. Did Aronofsky do Black Swan? I didn't mind Black Swan that much. I didn't think that like Black Swan was that bad. I thought it was a little shit. It wasn't great, but it was nowhere near as bad as The Whale, in my opinion. Or Requiem for a Dream, or Mother. I thought Black Swan was kind of good, to be honest. It feels like the attempts at queer cinema in the early 2000s that were all misery porn. Oh, right. I don't know if I know which films you're on about, but yeah, it's literally that. His entire motive for filmmaking is let's make everyone uncomfortable. It's probably his best film. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if Aronofsky did that, it's like surprising to me, because I'm like, I actually enjoyed it. Like, there was a lot of stuff about like misogyny and power dynamics and abuse and stuff in there. I thought that was really good. Yeah, there was definitely problematic parts to it. I remember which you're talking about, like the, if someone is bisexual and but the thing is, right, here's the funny thing about Black Swan, right? I wonder if this is true. No, it has to be true, because there's no Black Swan came out in like 2007, right? Because I feel like Darren Aronofsky watched Mulholland Drive, which is a far better movie than than Black Swan. I feel like he watched that and went, I can do that. And then he made Black Swan, because Black Swan is basically Mulholland Drive, but like a bit different. I don't know. It's just like, it just feels like that's what he tried to do. Anyway, we're gonna move on with the video, because we're getting into like movie territory stuff, and yeah, we're talking about how Fatphobia is connected to anti-blackness. Shout out for one of my favorite films. Mulholland Drive is so good. It's so fucking good. Lynch is just like, yeah, quality, absolute quality.
Journalist and writer Katie Rife forewarned those on Twitter, which incited a hot debate on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and Reddit about the film, which film critics lauded as an award season winner. Since it's...
I don't know why... Thanks for the follow. I don't know why you... Is it better than Tetsuo the Iron Man? Listen, when we get to like this level of... when we get to like this level of... whatchamacallit, film appreciation, we can't be measuring. Do you know what I mean? Tetsuo the Iron Man is as good as Mulholland Drive is as good as Tetsuo the Iron Man, etc., etc. Why would you not want to watch every single movie made by this man?
This idea was born that I would try to pronounce WMM's full username with cinema lovers' panties in my mouth. So now, this being dedicated to WMM, we're going to do just that. So Cinema, are you ready to go?
I'm ready, David.
Fantastic, Cinema. I'm really looking forward to this. So if you could give me your panties now, and we'll get going.
Okay.
That's beautiful cinema. Thank you very much. They're still warm. Okay, now, they're very warm, as a matter of fact, cinema.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Sorry
now,
about that.
The deal is, I'm going to put these panties in my mouth and pronounce WMM's full username. Are you ready? There you go, WMM. You saw it here first. And thank you very much, Cinema, for taking part in this.
You're welcome.
These are, I'm going to keep these panties if you don't mind.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Jesus fucking Christ, David. Just absolutely incredible. Yeah, so anyway, we're going back to this video now. What have I missed in the chat? Speaking of Reddit, it's totally blowing up right now. I don't think we're speaking about Reddit. When did we mention Reddit? It's been 2 months. I haven't stopped thinking about it. It's a really good film. Tetsuo the Iron Man is incredible. Early internet David Lynch was a author experience in and of itself. I agree. He's not perfect, but boy, do I have a soft spot for David Lynch. Who is perfect? Find me a perfect man. Find him for me. I feel like the topic changed. It's not. Story is a forum he was on. He was very involved with the user base. They riled each other up, eventually leading to a bet of some kind where this was a dare. Incredible. He did direct Dune. Yeah, he did do that. Reddit is on strike. You see, I know about this, and that's not true, is it? Reddit is not on strike. That would imply that the people who work at Reddit are on strike. That's not true. The users and moderators have, like, privated a bunch of stuff, haven't they? Yeah.
Release, however, watchers have criticized the movie's use of a fat suit and called it a caricature.
What did you have on? Because your hands were big on your body.
Those were like sleeves that came to the shoulder. There was a 5-point harness that had me strapped in. Pretty, once into it, I was in there all.
Oh, of course, fucking Adam Sandler is fucking interviewing him about this, bro. Like, I'm really sorry. Excuse me if I don't like respect the opinion of a guy who made a film where the like legitimate plot of the movie is statutory rape and how that's fine. It's fine that statutory rape happens. I can't stand this cunt. Fuck Adam Sandler. Fuck him.
Until it came off. But the rule was...
That's just a personal thing. There's obviously way worse things. Well, worse, give or take. You know what I mean? He's done other terrible things as well.
Is that the whole look should obey the laws of physics and gravity, because we don't see that in films. And I really looked. I looked at what the Farrelly brothers did. I looked at what Mike Myers did. I looked at what Eddie Murphy did. And that's just
the film I'm talking about was called That's My Boy.
Last 20 years.
Yeah.
Anything before then, it's a cutout.
He put on a fat suit for laughs in the remote control movie in Click. I didn't know that.
Silhouette of a costume that's stuffed with like batting, and it's normally just an athletic actor inside.
Yes.
The silhouette of a suit.
Yeah.
And it was all in service of just, kind of a mean joke or a one-note sort of shtick that...
he's saying that to Adam Sandler. It's fucking... No, it's not recent. It's a mammal. It's literally like... ...2012. 10 years ago. 11 years ago.
I think we're better than. There are those who live with this disease. And it was my obligation.
Dude, he called it a disease. Oh, you meant reason. Oh, yeah, no worries. Yeah. Yeah, his movies are hollow cash grabs. Yeah, when I saw the Red Letter Media guys talk about Jack and Jill, and it's like, obviously there's so much to say about that. Like, he's playing a woman. Like, it's like, the whole film is like a guy in a dress joke. And then also, like, a massive advert for a cruise. Like, they go on a cruise and it's literally like a cruise advert. Like, a cruise advert just starts happening. It's fucking mental, man. Absolutely mental.
To be the voice.
Katie began her tweet with the sentence, "I can't recommend in good conscience that fat people watch The Whale," before adding that she definitely couldn't recommend that skinny people watch it either.
Yeah.
Since it reinforces the notion that fat people are objects of pity who have brought their suffering upon themselves through lack of coping skills. Others, however, responded that fatness is a medical illness and that the film accurately portrayed binge eating in a nuanced, emotional, and raw way.
Media played a big role. Fat jokes on cartoons, on sitcoms and movies. People with obesity on these movies and shows, they were always the butt of the joke. I'm an obesity physician. We need to actually have specialists as opposed to going to a general practitioner, family doctor, internist. Because what they'll say is you just got to eat less, move more, go on a diet, go exercise. They won't even look at the patient. They're like, your BMI is, let's just say high, whatever it is. And they'll say, you need to lose weight. And they didn't even talk to the patient. And I hear this all the time. It's possible that the patient had already made a lot of effort to lose weight and they've already...
You know what? You know why BMI is such a joke, right? Chat. It's extremely inaccurate, right? And also, if a fat person goes to a doctor, right, for like the same thing that, like, for example, a bodybuilder goes to a doctor for, yeah. Racism, well, yeah, maybe there's racist elements to it as well. I'm not sure. I don't know about that. But like, what I know is that, like, if a bodybuilder goes to a doctor with the same problem as like a fat person, and they'll be like, fat person, you got to lose weight, move around more, eat less. But to the bodybuilder, they'll say, oh, what's that? You got this very easily treatable problem. Here's the drugs, dude. Because the bodybuilder looks right? But the BMI of the bodybuilder will probably be the fucking same as the fat person, right? Because muscle is far more dense than fat. So if you put on, like, you know, a bunch of muscle, like, I'm technically overweight. Do you know what I mean? Like, in terms of, like, you know, what people consider overweight due to BMI. Like, when I measure myself at the gym, it says that I'm overweight, but it's just because I have, like, 57% muscle mass or whatever, right? It's ridiculous. And none of that should matter anyway. We should all just treat people for whatever they have, regardless of whether they're obese or fat or whatever you want to call it, or whatever they look like. It's just so ridiculous. Hey, delicate friend. Yeah, people could just be fat and not have an eating disorder. Yeah, for real.
Lost, it could be 100 pounds. And they might not even notice because the doctor just looks at the calculation without actually talking to the patient.
As in all debates on social media, this one devolved from a conversation about their Aronofsky's performance of fat bodies into plain old anti-fatness. But things weren't always like this. Recognition of fatness as a medical illness only antecedes to this century. And the idea of good and bad weight was about the mores and aesthetic standards of the time.
Once, like, slavery became a thing, they learned that, like, it was no longer in vogue to, like, be fat or hefty because it would no longer be associated with wealth. And what it was that they noticed, hey, I'm in power. I don't want enslaved people to look like me. So I'm going to demonize fatness, and then that led to fat pathology.
That makes so much
they
sense.
basically started to scientifically associate fatness with sickness, is what it is. And anyone within proximity of that, i.e., like the working class, if you were fat or anything like that, you were considered to basically be like slave coded. During that time, it started to be aspirational to be as thin as possible. All it is, it's just like white people just trying to find ways to like justify them being in power.
The human body has always been the subject of stigmatization.
I'm not gonna lie, chat. I've never like understood it when I've seen people say that before, which is why I shut my mouth about it, because like if you don't understand it, you should just shut the fuck up, right? But like I've seen people say that like anti-fatness is like related to anti-blackness, and I've never understood it, but that makes perfect sense, right? That makes perfect sense to me now. I've learned something. BMI is based off like the weight of soldiers during the Depression. Is that right? I didn't know. I did not know that. There have also been a whole bunch of medical studies showing that you only get mortality drop-offs at the extremes of weight, and if anything, being fat reduces quite a few risk factors. Yeah, for sure. Most insurances in the States also require doctors to report your BMI on paperwork. Yeah, it's so fucked. So extremely fucked.
The way we think.
Fatness is seen dependent upon gender. Think about how society treats fat women versus fat men. A fat woman is undesirable, but a fat man is Rick Ross.
Prehistoric figures of women and fertility goddesses like Venus were more curvaceous and larger. From ancient Rome to the Baroque period, the most beautiful women were portrayed as being voluptuous. Artists like Leonardo da Vinci, Rubens, Charles Mania, and probably even Zulix illustrated women in generous form. For men, however, things were a bit different. Hippocrates took painstaking caution to separate the large size of a male athlete from that of a fat man, who was weighed down by fat rather than by his own strength. Fatness itself was highlighted in male figures too, such as the Greek deity of wealth, Pluto, and most notably in Renoir's depiction of industrial barons. Plump bodies were associated with health, good social standing, and subsequently riches. During a time when food scarcity was common and famines were an expedited facet of life. But how do we get here? Well, beauty eventually represented slimness in the 20th century, where images of both men and women alike were depicted as trim and slender throughout the media. As the decades rolled by, aesthetics took a lanky form in fashion ads with models such as Donyale Luna, Twiggy, and the iconic heroin chic brought on by Kate Moss.
Oh man, heroin chic, so bad.
Of fatness as the subject of ridicule, stigmatization, and otherness.
And it's so absurd, right? Because being as skinny as like Kate Moss, like, is also like it's I think like super unhealthy. Do you know what I mean? Like when people talk about like people who are like too fat, extreme fatness, like where they like get health problems because of it and stuff like that. It's like exactly the same for people who are like extremely skinny, too skinny kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever, like you're getting health problems like either way, right? Do you know what I mean? So it's like so absurd that they would like champion this, you know, this extreme rather than the other extreme. It's just so completely bizarre, isn't it? Like I think I've been thinking a lot recently about Baudrillard's hyperreal simulacra simulation. Like none of it makes sense, folks. Like none of it. Like we live in this hyperreal reality, don't we, where everything is just made up. It's just all made up. It's completely made up, from everything that we like see to like the things that we eat and everything, and it's just like the things that we're like told to believe and all that. It's all just bollocks, isn't it? It's just so fucking ridiculous.
A supermodel, they have like a BMI of like whatever 18.
I just want the real reality. I just want that. I just want that. Like, why can't we have that?
Or something like that, they're on the risk of being underweight. And actually, underweight, you see this huge increase in risk of mortality and death. So
Yeah,
just being
for real.
underweight can be very unhelpful. Losing their periods, low bone density, increased risk of cardiovascular disease based on kind of this ovarian, I don't want to say failure, but kind of based on not having enough body fat. Breaking hips and things like that. Being underweight is actually a huge increase of mortality.
We've all heard at least one comment about why fatness is wrong in our lives, and have seen examples of bullying resulting from having a socially undesirable weight.
With me, I have to like take a step back and like make sure that first and foremost, I'm not defining preferences the same way that these racist white folks have been doing it for years. And at the same time, I also have to make sure that I keep an eye open to notice when that is being applied to me by other white folk. There is more than one queer dating / hookup app than Grindr. The ones that I mostly use were Growler, which is for people who are looking for like bears and otters and like bigger type bodies, and then there's like Bigger City for those who are like looking for bigger bodies in general.
Oh,
my first encounter back when I was like 24, 25, I just moved out on my own, just created these profiles. I was approached through the DMs in Growler by a muscular white dude who looked like he was twice my age. I wasn't feeling him. I didn't want to be rude when he messaged me, so I messaged him back, "Hey, sorry, you're not my type. I'm into bigger guys." And he messaged me back. And the way that he messaged me back was like, "How bigger?" As if I offended him. Fatphobia within the bear community as well. There's some bigger individuals who don't necessarily fit the bear definition or the otter definition or the ones with bigger bodies, and they are looked down upon as well. Fatphobia in a way that allows you to be it without saying that you are. It's like if you're part of the community, you can't be, because you are part of a community that naturally praises these body types and everything like that. But you're still very selective of who.
Thanks for the follow.
Clubhouse.
Along with the 20th century came the medical implications of weight and its association with criminality and misbehavior, as seen in Canadian doctor William Osler's Sees Sleep and Obesity, a statistical inquiry, where he opined that obesity was the sole result of overeating and indulgence. And that's just the early 1900s. It's only...
And we know that this is like completely not true. Bellamy spoke about this recently, and it's something that I've been telling like pretty much my entire family. Like my entire family, I imagine most of you in the chat are like the same, like, you know, that fucking just hate fat people, like so ridiculously fatphobic. You know, in terms of like trying to explain to like my dad, you know, because my dad is there and he's like, how can you like, when you're that big, how can you like sit there and just keep putting food in and blah 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 and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, yo, Dad, listen, it's not about that. It's not about like, you know, people like putting the food in. It's like sometimes, you know, what people's parents have said to them have made them like that. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes shaming people for being too fat can have the opposite effect and make people, do you know what I mean, actually like become fatter and stuff. Like that's like a legitimate thing that I've seen reported. And it's like, yeah, I have no reason to not believe that. I definitely think that like the way that people like interact with their kids can completely fuck them up. You know what I mean? Like I know that that's the case for like, you know, my dad and me. Like my dad basically made me have anxiety because of the things that he would say. Like always remember, like, you know, my dad saying shit like, oh, well, you know, make sure you don't go on that climbing trip because, well, what's the chances of you getting hurt? Probably quite low. But what's the chances if you don't do it at all? And it's like, okay, cool. You know, now I'm afraid of all that. Now I'm afraid of that. Thanks, Dad. Really appreciate that.
It's only been recently that obesity was dubbed a form of disease.
Yeah, queer community in general is full of people who would be aghast at any suggestion that they're fatphobic, but would not consider dating or having sex with a fat person. It's similar to being trans. You're expected to be attracted to anyone, but if there's a whole group of people you'll never approach or engage with in that way, maybe it's on you to consider how your personal beauty standards are formed by societal prejudice. Yeah, and it's like so absurd. There's nothing wrong with finding fat people attractive. I've never had an issue with that personally. Do you know what I mean? It's literally like so far removed to me. I can't comment on it because it's not something that's really ever bothered me. Yeah, I don't know. It's just ridiculous. People literally need to eat. Yeah, judging a fat person for having a meal in public is so intense. It's so intense. You know? Definitely have weird food insecurities because my folks went on a crash diet in their 30s. Yep. For real. Yep. You get weird ideas when suddenly carbs disappear from your house as a kid. Yep. All this shit happens. You know what I mean? It's like vast different reasons as to why people get fat. And like people can become obsessed with why people get fat. When it's like, well, you know, instead of like wondering why people get fat, we just kind of need to like, you know, be all right with it. Be all right with it and like shape our world to include them as well, right? You know what I mean? It's like it's like Sarah saying like, you know, if you've ever had to like request like a seatbelt extender on a plane or like, you know, be worried that like a chair's gonna break and shit like that. Like, come on, man, it's not hard. You know what I mean? The peak is ridiculing heavy people for eating salad or being at the gym. Like, there's literally no pleasing you. Yeah, it's just like, that's the worst shit for real. That is the worst shit, you know? When like you see like fat people who are like, you know, whether it's something that they've chose to do on their own or whether it's like literally because of societal pressure, they've like turned around and gone, no, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make an effort. And then they're like, oh, well, that's not, you know what I mean? That's not going to help, is it, bro? That's not going to help, is it? And it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, I really can't, like... I used to have this friend, and I used to say to him all the time, because he had just, like, the worst opinion about fat people, and he used to say things like, we need to make public shaming acceptable again. And I'm like, bro, like, what reality are you living in where, like, that is okay? What reality are you living in where that has ever worked? Do you know what I mean? And also, like, what reality are you living in where, like... that isn't accepted? Because it is accepted. People publicly shame fat people all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, fuck me, if you've ever like grown up at school with like a fat kid, you know, I don't know, man. People are just dumb. People are so stupid.
Pathophysiology.
There are a lot of big, jacked bodybuilders who will be the ones that will say how obesity isn't healthy. And I'm like, my buddy, my buddy, you're not healthy. It's like, dude, you got sleep apnea because you're huge. Expectation, you're going to have all these women. And the reality is...
Yeah, you kind of got to be careful about bringing stuff like that up, delicate friend, because, yeah, I'm just going to remove that from the chat. I don't want to read that.
Bunch of men in my DMs.
Gout, the oldest noted type of
arthritis. I will put the long and short of what you said out there. You don't know why someone has put on weight, so don't judge them in it, basically, is what delicate friend was saying there.
Has had a very vivid history with depictions and writings dating from the 5th century, once called the King's Disease, due to its affiliation with alcohol and access to copious amounts of food. Gout is now understood, however, to result from uric acid metabolism rather than class. All of these things tie into why fatness is such a sensitive and nuanced topic. Unlike heart...
Yeah, here's another thing about like gout, right? Here's another thing about gout, yeah? Like... my granddad is so extremely underweight, like to the point where it's like really harming his health. He got gout. It's not like how fat he is. It's, in fact, it might even be to do with how skinny he is, now that I think about it. But yeah, it's not like a fat person's disease, innit? Do you know what I mean?
Diabetes. Fatness is something that can be witnessed, which is why people find it so easy to use someone's size for ridicule. And even though the literature may dictate that certain diseases like gout are due to one's body rather than their weight, medical professionals still have preconceived notions about fatness that results in mixed diagnosis, harm, and indifference that prevent healing.
So there's nothing more we can do if you don't change your eating habit.
I have been working hard towards it.
But if you work harder to show on this...
Fucking hell, I hate these kinds of shows. I swear to God, I hate these kinds of shows so much. Like, I've never enjoyed it, like, checking out these shows where it's like, yo, look how fat these people are and look how, like, they struggle to get better and stuff. It's literally, like, misery porn. It's like The Whale. It's like watching the fucking Whale. Do you know what I mean? That's probably why I got halfway through and I was like, I can't watch this shit, you know?
But you put on almost 50 pounds since you arrived instead of losing. And you claim that you're not eating very much? Really?
I've been through this since I was 15 years old.
If you have been through that and you know what's wrong with you, then you don't need our help.
Hey, Echo Baz.
Okay, do you think I'm stupid? I don't understand that when you retain water?
Send me back home. No, I'm not. You came too far for that,
man. You know how much shit I read before I go to the doctor to arm myself when I'm in that room? Because if I go in there and I don't have anything to argue with this person about or argue with this person with.
Yeah, we've been through this, Echo Baz, yeah.
You're trying, you haven't lost anything. So at this point, it's clear you don't really want to do this.
For a little while, I had a doctor who was also fat. It was so great. She actually listened to me.
Oh.
I cried after the appointment. We're so inundated with messages about hating bodies that it's like your first language because it's been taught to you from childhood. People think about fat people as failed thin people. The notion that there is an acceptable default. And the idea somehow is that if we're not that we're defective.
What in the world is going on with you?
I guess I'm eating the wrong things.
You think it's funny?
This shit is so fucked. This shit is so fucked. The way that this guy talks to people is so bad. It's so bad. I'll never forget this time in my early 20s where I finally decided to get it together and had the courage to start walking, and the first day these folks slowed down next to me telling me to lose weight, calling me things you can imagine. These were grown men, so I explained I was trying to lose weight. They said things I wouldn't say in chat and laughed in my face. Guess what? Didn't make me want to keep at it. You can't win for losing with it. Yeah, it's so fucking shit, Adnan. I'm so sorry you went through that, bro. Like, it's like so fucking ridiculous. My memory sucks. I totally believe you though. What, have you been here for the whole stream? I spent like a whole 20 minutes talking about The Whale and why it's shit. And then I did it again for like another 10 minutes. I mean, if you just got here, it looks like you just got here, and that's fine. You know, it doesn't matter, you know. Hating bodies is like your first language is one hell of a line. Right.
Have a gastric bypass.
I had a gastric bypass,
to
yes.
lose weight.
To lose weight.
And you're not losing weight.
I don't eat a third what I ate before I had that surgery.
Okay, then
You're
we're not
asking
talking
me
about
questions that I don't understand no more than you understand.
You're playing this kind of game.
No, you don't need to chill for a bit at all. No, it's fine. Like, as long as you look, as long as what people are discussing come under the content warnings that I have. I deleted Delicate Friends fucking message because it's not covered. The content warnings that we got on the screen don't cover that. Do you know what I mean? And you shouldn't just like go into a, like, you know, you're not in trouble or anything, Delicate Friend. Don't worry, you're not going to get banned or anything. But like, you've definitely got to think about like what you say before you say it, in terms of like if people are ready to have that kind of discussion. Because I'm a victim of CSA, and I don't want to just randomly hear people bring it up. Do you know what I mean? Without telling me they're going to bring it up. You know what I mean? I don't need that in my day. So, you know, as long as it's covered by what we've got on the screen, it's fine. You can talk about that.
I think that's okay. How in the world somebody...
how I'm playing any game. I throw up constantly. I eat what I can keep down.
That's how it works. You're not eating and you're getting...
I don't want to get malnourished either.
Do you look like you're malnourished?
Go to her.
No, we're gonna finish with you.
No, we're not finishing with me.
Yeah, get out. Leave.
You sit down right over there.
No.
That doctor, despite treating those specific patients, is the tip of the iceberg everywhere. It's just like, yes, I've come in for this chronic pain. You told me to lose weight. I lost the weight, but I'm still having chronic pain. And then you actually decide to do the test and you find out that it was X, Y, and Z. So you mean to tell me that this particular problem that I've apparently had for years that wasn't linked to my size at the time could have been properly diagnosed if your first instinct wasn't to tell me to lose 50 fucking pounds. I'm so thankful for my doctor because he didn't gamify it for me. He just let me know you're in hypertension level 2. In order for us to actually proceed with this, we have to get you back in the green because the tea is only going to raise your blood pressure higher, and that's going to increase your risk of like heart attack. It's like I'm glad he wasn't that asshole because he listened with empathy and he understood what I was going through, and that urged him to help find like a combination of blood pressure medicine that actually helped. And it was just like This is how doctors are supposed to be.
Thankfully, with knowledge at our fingertips, things have finally progressed to where most of us have heard about anti-fatness and its harmful effects. Scholars, sociologists, and fat activists have all brought to light what fatphobia is, the many insidious ways it's been perpetuated, and how it intersects with both race, class, and gender.
When I started weight loss, I started doing it for myself. I wanted more energy. I wanted my health back. My doctor had told me that I was gonna get diabetes. As I lost that weight, they don't tell you that the whole world around you changes. People on the street started stopping to say hello. People wanted to be my friend, like random people. The guys that would like reject me or like ignore me as if I was not there were now like trying to buy me drinks. It even changed my relationship with my family. They were like more excited to see me. For the first time ever,
That's
my grandma
so
took a
fucked.
picture of me, and I remember that day because it made me cry. And she was like, "Oh, mi flaca, my skinny girl, like I want a picture of you." And she's never taken a picture of me ever.
That's so fucked, man.
And they were like, "What do you
That's
want
so
to eat? Like, what
fucked.
can I make you?"
Like this shit that the people are doing to their kids and how it's, oh man, my heart goes out to this girl. Like, what the fuck is going on, man? Do you know what I mean? So fucked up.
Your favorite? And it's so crazy because when I was way bigger, it was like, "Hey, like stop eating or make yourself something to eat," or I felt like I didn't matter. I was getting better job opportunities, and I don't know, it's like everything around me was perfect. That messed me up because I no longer was doing it for myself. Like, I was scared that if I gained the weight back, that everyone would hate me again. After that, after being treated different, like, you feel like, oh damn, I was hated. But with that, I tell you, I developed an eating disorder. I was scared to gain that weight back. I was trying to eat as little as possible and work out as hard as possible. It really messed me up because as soon as I started eating like regular, like trying to like introduce regular foods back into my like lifestyle, I gained it all back. I gained every single pound back.
In order to grasp how fatphobia
Oh, gobs, yeah, that is fucking horrible. Absolutely
has
horrific.
emerged, one has to acknowledge the intersection that fatness and blackness occupy in the demonization of black bodies. Thinness has been deeply rooted in anti-blackness, a concept so eloquently addressed in the award-winning study, Fearing the Black Body, The Racial Origins of Fatphobia, by sociologist Sabrina Strait.
No way, it's a mammal. That's so dry.
And how fatness has been used as a tool during the Renaissance, the transatlantic slave trade, the civil rights era, and even provides a modern critique on whiteness views on bigger bodies. She poignantly notes that institutionalized fat phobia in the medical industry and the deep-seated idea of curbing fatness for public health relies on the same ideologies that race scientists use to associate it with idiocy and
She tells me all the time it's a Filipino thing when I say how much it sucks. Yeah, but that's the thing though, isn't it? It's not just a Filipino thing. It's an everyone thing. It's an everyone thing.
Constitution.
So bad.
Her book guides readers from the inception of race to colonialism, medical fascination with fatness, and to the modern era with a comparison of the media's wielding of fat phobia and anti-blackness. The racial hierarchy, she argues, uses fatness as a means of othering black people and its association with black women in particular.
This is not like racism, it is racism. Anti-fatness is rooted in anti-blackness. And the reason why people are pursuing thinness is because they're pursuing proximity to whiteness. The reason why people hate fat people is because people hate black people. And appearing curvy or bigger is associated with blackness, especially black women. And that's why they're discriminated in the workplace, overly sexualized. And this has gone back for centuries and centuries. All systems of oppression, capitalism, sexism, racism, it all comes back to white supremacy, which is the foundation of the fabric of America and rules every sector and aspect of our society.
Prior to the transatlantic slave trade, white women prized plumpness above all else. As the African presence grew in Europe, they immediately clenched a tight fist, like Arthur, around what it meant to be aesthetically pleasing. Artists emphasized African subjugation by portraying black women as frail, sickly, and incredibly thin. Slavery and the New World meant new fashion,
Right, Ludo,
fruits,
yeah.
and delectable sweets in the form of white gold, sugar. Its introduction into the diets of European women began to make their masculine counterparts incredibly anxious about fatness and desirability. Strings then specifies that the Enlightenment is the first time that fat is out and thin is in, with male members of the intelligentsia, William Shakespeare, Rousseau, Descartes, penning that excessive consumption equaled a lack of intelligence and morality. German princess Elizabeth Charlotte most notably described herself as having a monstrously wide waist and being square as a cube. Race then comes in around the same time. You see, remember those race scientists I mentioned? We know them as being absolutely idiotic, pseudo-intellectual dunderheads. But in the late 17th century, they were brilliant. White men like Georges Louis Lecoq and Julien Joseph Fiery tied the sin of gluttony to the African body whose idleness from the tropics
Jesus Christ
made them inferior, which is pretty ironic, given that portraits of Fiery show him to be a person of size himself.
Yeah.
I digress. Fiery most notably described apes as being the root of the human genus. In his proposition on human evolution, he notes that the African was merely the second step in obtaining true intelligence and humanity. It makes me sick even saying it. From the orangutan to the hot-knot bushman,
so
to
bad.
the most intelligent Negroes, and finally to the white man, he writes, one passes indeed by almost imperceptible nuances. Thin physiques then immediately moved from the sickly to the reason for the white man's inherent dominance of the earth, supported by writings by faux anthropologists and biologists who built the racial totem pole with themselves as the apex. As a result, African women of the time, with their curvy bodies and fetishized looks, are deemed grotesque and animalistic. They weren't the only ones. People of color in other regions were also given similar treatment. In her memoir, Lady Wortley Montague condemned the fleshy and sensuous figures of Turkish women to endorse their supple beauty of white European women. Books and magazines such as Harper's Bazaar and Goody's Ladies' Book in the 19th century, then, in plain English, begin to reaffirm to American women that fatness equals criminality, deformity, and African savagery. So where are we now? Well, let's turn on the TV and take a look. The Biggest Loser is a reality show that rewards
Hey, Mr. Noobster.
for their rapid weight loss without regard for how exactly it's done. The winner's transformation is rewarded with cash and the applause of watchers. It was so popular that at its height, People magazine would dedicate a cover to the now beautiful body of the champion. Similar to the post of people who posted or blogged about their fitness journeys. Each contestant would detail how their weight held them back in certain areas of their life, and how the world immediately welcomed them with open arms after shedding these pounds. And that's the problem. Why the hell is it remotely okay that fat people have to live on the margins of society in a world that should automatically treat them as humans rather than spectacle? And why do fat people have to prostrate themselves and push their bodies to incredible, inhumane limits for an audience of millions, for people to see in order to be deemed attractive? As a matter of fact, who keeps greenlighting these shows? There's even My 600-Pound Life on TLC, the network whose approach to entertainment seems too often eager to embrace the presumption that fat people are repugnant, but yet also worthy enough for constant surveillance and a source of entertainment.
Right.
It's not adding up. It seems to me that these kinds of media not only serve to demonize fat people for simply just existing, but to also tell viewers, you better not eat that next piece of cake. You better not indulge, or this will be you on television next. Fat people, to TLC, are curiosities to be probed and displayed for the satisfaction of thin folk. These are real people who are expressing their pain and challenges with their weight, which is a very real, sensitive thing, and having it been made a point of ridicule and pity. But wait, there's more. You see, even with widespread criticism and numerous write-ups on their publicization of big bodies, they did it again with their miniseries Hot and Heavy, which followed several couples composed of average or muscular men and bigger women. The entire show was framed as if their partner's fatness was a liability by preemptively positing, does love really conquer all?
Jesus Christ.
Really? Honestly, like, couples of different weights have always existed. Tired of this, man. Once again, the juxtaposition of the title, hot being thin and heavy being unattractive, is how they get their views. And if you haven't noticed, a lot of the opinions on fatness mentioned throughout today's videos focus on women, as the onus is nearly always femmes to prove their worth through their size.
I'm learning.
I've said here is only a regurgitation of what queer, gender non-conforming, fat black activists have been shouting from the rooftops for years. While curvy body positivity is portrayed in media like the Dove commercials, which still only shows a certain kind of bigger body, mind you. Recent movements of fat activism have been...
It is actually ridiculous that they like show these femmes like... Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's okay to have a bigger body. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like, these are like the most like not fat, not skinny people I've ever seen. Like, I wouldn't even say that they're like not skinny. A lot of these people. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just so bizarre, right? You know what I mean?
Dominated by white people who have only recently learned.
Also, definitely dominated by white people.
Intersect. As we continue to create a more inclusive world for all, it's important to amplify and listen to voices like Roxanne Gay, like Deshaun Harrison, like Stephanie Yeboah, who deserve all their flowers for highlighting the intersections of anti-fatness and anti-blackness. Because their work on the preoccupation of black bodies on behalf of the world is essential to understanding negrophilia. And you're wondering what negrophilia means. I have a whole video delving into the way that we fetish black bodies, which you can watch on Nebula first.
Buy the blasted streaming service so I can stop living like this. You see how white this room is? I talking about anti-blackness and this room this white. I think I'm about to pass through my door like the Kool-Aid man. I can't even respond to that.
My streaming service Nebula is home to your favorite independent creators like Sam from Wendover and Johnny Harris, where you can gain access to exclusive that you will never see on YouTube and extended cuts that dive deeper into the content you already love. But most of all, you get to fight for the most marginalized alongside yours truly. Because if it wasn't for people like you supporting sponsors like Nebula, I'd be on the bread line rather than preaching the bread book. And if you sign with my link right now, listen here, you can get 40% off an annual plan that grants you access to Nebula classes. You can learn how to get paid to be a fan with none other than Nando versus movies. What are you waiting on? You waiting on the second coming of Christ? Tap the link in the description to gain access to the smartest service in streaming, Nebula. And tap there to watch more videos pertaining to Anti-Fatness. I can see you there. You're now watching the Nebula Cup.
Make sure, as per usual, chat, you give Foreign a like, a comment, a subscribe. Oh shit, is this Sarah's video? Hold up, I just want to check. It is.
Sarah, the fat culture critic.
Okay. 2 months ago, putting the whale in cultural context, why its misrepresentation matters. Definitely going to be checking that out. Chat, don't forget, this is my main form of income, and I solely rely on your sweet donations in order to survive. I drink your donations from the cup of nectar in which you present them to me. The cup of nectar being the sub off Twitch command in chat. Please consider, if you are financially capable, subbing off Twitch. Click the link in the chat, and I would only ask you to pay the same amount that you would pay if you were going to subscribe on Twitch, which is about £5, $5, whatever it is in your country of presence that you are present in. The reason that I ask you to sub off Twitch is multifaceted. The main being that they have a terrible track record of looking after marginalized people and marginalized streamers and protecting them. So please consider that. If you've enjoyed watching the stream, if you've laughed, if you feel like you've learned something, fuck the cops. Sorry, I got the window open. What was I gonna say? What was I saying there? Fuck, I hate cops so much. Jesus Christ. It's literally made me forget what I was saying. I'm super tired. I'm super fucking tired, basically, chat. I think it's the heat today. It's really fucked with me. I definitely don't have the energy to keep streaming, I'm afraid. I did start streaming a little later. As well, so I'm gonna make an effort. I am gonna log off now. I am gonna raid out to someone because, yeah, I'm literally like, yeah, I'm literally falling asleep just as we speak. But yeah, please consider giving me money via the yeah, via the thingy, the link in the chat. Sub off Twitch. Anyway, yeah, listen, we're gonna go raid someone. Thank you everybody for being here tonight. It's been really cool. I'm on Blue Sky now. I got a code today. So if you're on Blue Sky, I don't know if anyone is on Blue Sky or whatever. I don't really know how to work it. My thingy, whatever you call it, my profile is a bit shit. Shit, my card isn't working. Oh yeah, no worries, dude. It's all good. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, no danger. I'm like clicking profile now and I can't like, I literally can't like get it. Anyway, I don't even know. But yeah, I will be back tomorrow for the one, the only Trash Bingus. So make sure you're there for that. It's going to be very exciting. I have a feeling I'm going to look like this again, because it's going to be super hot tomorrow as well. It's going to be less hot tomorrow, but like it is also going to be like kind of super hot. So yeah, I imagine it will be a similar vibe. So yeah, look forward to that. People are excited about that in the chat. People are very excited about that, which is good. It's good to see people excited about that. Who are we gonna raid? Let's have a look. Who we got? Who's live? Who's streaming? Who I want to show some love to? Let's go raid Conrad. Conrad's streaming Alundra. I don't really know what that is. I've never heard of the game Alundra. I don't know what's going on with that. But we love Conrad. He's a lovely lad. He's extremely based. Let's go show him some love. Oh, yeah. Copy paste the raid message. Come and join me as we go and check out sweet Conrad Zimmerman. Yeah, like I say, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll see you then. Thank you so much for all the follows. Thank you so much for everybody chatting. Thank you so much for everybody who's been lurking. And thank you everybody for yeah, just stopping by, supporting, etc, etc. I'm sorry that like things are a little bit up in the air at the moment. I know that like I'm not like, you know, sort of like streaming on full cylinders at the moment, but I'm slowly working back into my life and shit like that. But yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah. Stay excellent to each other. Peace, 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 peace.